Republican sex scandals dwarf those of Democrats. The sexual antics of President Bill Clinton have been a dangerous tool in the Republican campaign arsenal, used to the fullest possible extent, but what have they been up to all these years? He who lives in a glass house should not throw stones. It seems that old adage may be lost on the confused mass that we call modern society. The Grand Old Party, once known for controversial abolitionists, has become the moral party of today, or so their elected leaders will tell you. As we evolve as a nation, too many people seem to be clinging to ideologies that make little sense, fighting against a woman's right to abortion, while demanding that schools not teach children sex education, or instruct them in the deadly virus, AIDS. It creates a vicious circle when we fight ourselves and deny education to those who need it most. Our nation spent more tax money conducting Ken Starr's investigation of President Bill Clinton's affair with intern Monica Lewinsky than they did in the investigation of the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. Many Americans fail to see the logic behind this. Now Oregon's governor stands at risk, as a right-wing radio pundit named Lars Larson levels an accusation against Lewinsky that could mean he could not be a lawyer in Oregon again. Larson says that Lewinsky had the goods on Goldschmidt years ago. Sources are reporting that he could have known about what has become known as the Goldschmidt scandal as early as 1994. Lewinsky walked angrily out of a press conference Tuesday after a TV reporter asked him about the former governor's involvement with the teenage babysitter. Perhaps the governor is guilty of having known something he didn't tell. He stated that he is not, but if he is, he may lose his right to have a license to practice law. That would be a real burn, if you were Ted Lewinsky, and quite a feather in the cap of Lars Larson, no doubt about it. As Lars Larson is totally political in his pursuits and ambitions, we thought it would be interesting to offer perspective by determining just how many Republican lawmakers and officials have endured similar scrutiny in recent years for sexual perversions, extramarital affairs, etc. It is a hard number to pinpoint, it just depends on the number of years you account for. As a subject, it was important enough to see an impeachment of former President Bill Clinton, so fair seems fair. Then we ran into a problem with the idea of naming these scandals and their Republican perpetrators. There are so many of these scandals that this video would be over 2 hours showing the lists of these evildoers called the Republicans. Using data from moral values, these citations are otherwise attributed to the original agencies. Here is a partial list of names of serious problems related to GOP movers and shakers. President of the United States George W. Bush was accused in a criminal complaint and lawsuit of raping Margie Schrodinger, who later died in a questionable case of suicide. Bush was also accused by Tammy Phillips, a former stripper, who was quoted in the National Enquirer in 2000 saying she had an affair with Bush that had ended in 1999. Another serious question involves statements from the wife of Red Blount, whom Bush campaigned for, while possibly AWOL from the Air National Guard at age 26. She stated that he was all over their 14-year-old daughter. Neil Bush, brother, or G.W. Bush, in a March 2003 divorce deposition, admitted repeatedly having sex with strange women who just showed up at his room while on an Asian business trip. Overshadowing the sex scandal at the time was a business scandal. Neil Bush keeps a low profile and is not seen in public very often. He also has questionable ties to the security of the World Trade Towers in the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. Newt Gingrich, well-established crusader against legislation that assists women and the poor, has married 3 times, while spouting Christian values the entire time. Newt Gingrich's campaign worker Ann Manning admitted that she gave Newt oral sex while he was still married to his first wife, essentially placing Newt in the exact same position President Clinton had to endure when Gingrich and his cronies maintained their pressure over the Lewinsky incident. Gingrich informed one wife he was filing for divorce while she was in the hospital recovering from cancer treatments. Rudy Giuliani, New York mayor and Republican presidential candidate, is reported as having had an adulterous affair that failed to stay out of the public light. Groups also cite Giuliani for pocketing an $80,000 fee for speaking at a charity benefit for tsunami aid, which raised only $60,000 for the victims themselves. Critics of Giuliani say there will be more revelations about his character and past as his presidential aspirations gain momentum. Rush Limbaugh is the infamous talk show pundit and advocate of moral values who has been divorced 3 times. A staunch anti-drug crusader, Limbaugh is in reality a 30-pill-a-day drug addict. He also takes questionable trips to locations where many Western men travel to buy sex under shady circumstances. It was a return from one of those possibly sordid journeys when one of his drug arrests occurred. Limbaugh was returning from the Dominican Republic. The Rush Limbaugh sex tourism story could seriously lead to his downfall if any of the allegations were founded. Turnabout is most certainly fair play, is how one news agency worded it. Then there is the report of Rush's use of Viagra while he was single.